So we've talked over and over again how The Chosen is an amazing creative work, but we haven't talked specifically about character development yet. So let's take a moment and look at some amazing character development from The Chosen Season 2, Episode 6. Welcome to This Nightlife, where we look at creativity through the lens of Christianity. My name is Brandon, and today we're going to be looking at The Chosen Season 2, Episode 6. So we've talked about this episode from a few different angles, but today we're going to look specifically at character development, and why it's so important for any story. So in Christian stories in general, it's really easy to take the disciples, or Jesus, or whoever, and put them into a one-dimensional box. But in actuality, these were real people, with real personalities, and real families. And they went from happy to sad to angry to whatever else, just like we do. And even past emotion, they grow over time, right? We see Peter at the beginning of the journey with Christ, and then we see him at the end of the journey with Christ. And he's learned a lot along the way because of a lot of his failures, to be honest. So today we're going to focus on Matthew and Peter in episode 6. Talk about their character development, why it's important for the story, and why the Chosen team did what they did. So let's jump into the first scene in Jericho where Matthew and Simon Peter are looking for Mary Magdalene.
Matthew? I'm thankful before you, Lord, our King, for you have mercifully restored my soul. Great is your name.
Are you hungry?
What did you do to yourself?
Oh.
It's disgusting. Did you not put down new hay before lying down?
No? Did you?
Of course I did.
My mind is racing. I guess I wasn't paying attention. If we split up today, we'll be able to cover more ground.
We're not splitting up.
It would be more logical.
Jesus wants you back in one piece. You said there was breakfast?
No. I asked if you were hungry. Do you know how to make eggs?
No.
Boil water. Put the eggs in the water.
No.
What is it?
Well, I'm not the cook, for starters.
Neither am I. But we must sustain ourselves. While you make eggs however you like them, you can also devise our plan for the day. With me.
Fine. You know, we may have to consider the possibility that she went somewhere other than Jericho.
Ephraim or Bethel? No. Too much wilderness to cross between camp and either of those places. She's most comfortable in cities.
You think she's still here?
I do. We must analyze her history, what she normally does.
Lately, before this, all she did was study Torah with you and Rama.
I checked the synagogue. The officials said they hadn't seen her.
How did you describe her?
How would you?
She's got black hair.
Long black hair.
Oh, well, all our women have long.
Sometimes she can't even cover it all. She might be inconsolable or distressed.
Anything else?
Unusually pleasant to look at. You want to add water to the pot before it heats up.
Okay, Matthew.
So here we see a few interesting things. The boys are in Jericho, searching for Mary Magdalene, and it seems that they've been there since the night before. Remember, at the end of episode 5, Jesus sent them out to go find her. So they went to Jericho and found a stable to sleep in. As Simon Peter wakes up, he sees that Matthew is already ready to go. He's copying a map so that they can split up into the town, which Simon obviously sees as a bad idea. What I want to focus on is the change that's happening over this episode. Remember this scene from episode 3 of season 2?
And you betrayed that, and you spit on it. I can't forgive it. I'll never forgive it.
This is the last real conversation that Matthew had with Simon Peter. Simon Peter and Matthew are not on the greatest of terms. Simon Peter sees him as a traitor to their whole entire race, to their religion, to everything that they stand for. And Matthew didn't fully understand all of that. And he is coming to grips with some of that now. But there still hasn't been any reconciliation from that moment. Now you could see the reluctance at the end of episode 5 as Peter is assigned Matthew to go to Jericho with. So in this scene, you can see that slight annoyance from both of these guys. One of them is trying super hard to find Mary Magdalene in whatever way he can. But Simon Peter is more worried about this day to day, just for this moment. He's trying to get up and get ready and get breakfast. But Matthew is already on a roll, and he's quickly making Simon Peter wake up for the day. You can see how frustrated Simon Peter is. He doesn't even want to talk to Matthew fully. He doesn't want to listen to his plans because, well, he wants to make his own plans. Remember that Simon Peter's a leader as well. And not only is he not leading in this very moment, but Matthew is leading instead, which I'm sure is a huge annoyance for him. He's like half listening to what Matthew has to say here. Matthew gives him the eggs and tells him fill up this pot with water and then boil it, and you can boil the eggs and have breakfast. But Simon doesn't put water in the pot. And he's not really listening to Matthew's plan either. He's immediately shutting it down. He doesn't want to split up when Matthew does. The two of them definitely seem to be on different pages here. But then something interesting happens. Matthew says that he goes to the synagogue, but the leaders there said that they hadn't seen Mary. And Peter asks, how did you describe her? Matthew then retorts, well, how would you describe her? Simon Peter said she's got black hair, and quickly Matthew corrects him, no, she has long black hair. And we can see as the music begins to play, and Simon Peter has a raised eyebrow at the situation, things are a little bit different between Mary and Matthew here. Now, we've been saying for quite some time that there could be some sort of relationship forming between Mary Magdalene and Matthew. But Simon Peter, I don't think, has caught on to any of that quite yet. Matthew begins to describe her as having long black hair that sometimes she can't even cover at all, which is sort of a sign of cultural sexuality in a way. But also, he says that she's unusually pleasant to look at. Matthew in this series is on the spectrum, so he's saying all of these things not necessarily out of emotion, but as fact. And for the first time, I think that Simon Peter is seeing Matthew as a person, instead of a tax collector, or as someone who causes day-to-day annoyances for him. The relationship begins to change. The lens is shifted from someone who is annoying and hard to deal with to someone who has a crush. And this is extremely important because it's shifting Peter from not being able to relate at all with Matthew and saying that he would never forgive him to coming to a point where he's beginning to understand who Matthew is. At least a little bit. So this next scene we've already seen before, when we talked about Mary a few videos ago. But here we're going to watch it again. And I want you to switch your perspective. Before we were watching from the perspective of Mary, seeing how she was feeling and how the boys coming to her was helping. But this time I want you to focus on the other side of the conversation. Because I believe that there's two scenes going on here. One between Mary and Matthew, and one between Matthew and Peter. We just continue to see this character development happening between the two of them. So let's watch this scene.
She can't have gone too far. We'll cover more ground if we split.
Not doing that.
We can meet at the stables.
Didn't you learn anything in there? Mary can obviously take care of herself. You can't.
What if you were cut off from Jesus by something in your past? Wouldn't you want help getting back to him as soon as possible?
Okay, we split up. North, east, south, west. Huh? I go north.
Boys?
Mary.
I thought I was dreaming you.
Can you walk?
I'm not going anywhere.
We have to go back.
No, I can't.
Come on, Mary. He told us to come for you.
No. No. He already fixed me once. And I broke again. I can't face him.
I'm a bad person, Mary.
Matthew.
No, my whole life, all through me. No faith.
I do have faith in him. Just not in me.
I'm learning more about Torah and God because of you. I'm studying harder because you are such a great student.
Remember when we were at Zebedee's and they lowered that man after breaking Zeb's roof? We did that together, and they got to meet Jesus because of your care for them and your good ideas.
Rama is beginning to read and write because of you. He saved you to do all these things. It's all right. It's all right.
Where's your
Will you
handkerchief?
get some water, please?
Yeah. Right. I'll find some water.
Now remember, we're talking specifically about character development here. And so we're focusing mainly on Simon Peter, because I think Matthew is oblivious to a lot of the things that are happening to him in this episode. But Simon Peter is changing drastically here, especially in this scene. Now, they've just gone searching for Mary all day. They haven't found her yet, and they're about to make a plan. And Matthew again suggests, hey, let's split up. But this time, Peter does listen to him. Right before Mary calls out to them and pulls them over, he is making a plan, trying to make sure that Matthew is going to be okay on his own. And he says, north, south, east, west, right? I'm going to go north. And right there, Mary calls their name. Now, this is the first time since they started looking for Mary that Simon Peter listened to Matthew, that he was going to go along with his plan, almost trusting him more than he had earlier in the episode. Character development. But also, look at him intently in this scene. Every single time that they show Simon Peter, it's because of something that Matthew has done, nothing that Mary has done. Now, most of us, when we watched this scene for the first time, we thought it was all about Mary. But in actuality, I think that this character development moment is more about Simon Peter here than it is about Mary. Mary's character development moment comes more with Jesus in the tent later on. And if you haven't seen that episode from us, you can check that out right here. Now, we can see coming into this episode that Matthew is already starting to change as well, but Simon Peter hasn't seen that change outwardly in him. Again, let me remind you about episode 3 of season 2, where Simon Peter is yelling at Matthew, telling him that he's a traitor. During that episode, I don't think that Matthew fully understood that he was a bad person, that he had done bad things, that he was selfish. But here, even though we don't really see the character development physically within Matthew, he announces that he does understand who he has been in the past. He says it, plain as day. I'm a bad person, Mary. My whole life, just for me. And what does the camera do there? It doesn't switch to Mary's face after that. It switches to Peter's face to see his reaction to the situation. And you can see that he's visibly shaken by it. He takes a moment and just looks at Matthew. And then something really interesting happens. Matthew turns to Simon Peter and nudges him to get into the conversation, to help out Mary. Now, this is significant. Again, with the character development, Simon Peter and Matthew are now finally on the same team. They're finally fighting for the same cause. And this hasn't been the case up until now. Even though they've been following Jesus and they've been working together, this is the first moment when they're really together and working to help Mary as one unit, as the church. And then finally, at the end of this scene, as Matthew is helping Mary Magdalene as she's vomiting, Peter is dumbfounded. He looks directly at Matthew and he asks quietly, "Where's your handkerchief?" Why would he ask that? In every scene that we've seen Matthew in the past 2 seasons, whenever he's encountered something disgusting or something that would make him unclean, he would rather use his handkerchief to either cover his mouth or to pick it up or as a security blanket for the situation. But here, what is he doing? He's not disgusted by Mary. He's not revolted by her. In fact, he almost embraces her in this moment, helping her and holding back her hair as she vomits. This, I think, is the last straw for Simon Peter. he really is beginning to understand who Matthew is, that he is a caring person, that all of the stuff that he's done in his past may have been who he was, but who he is someone who cares for Mary. And that changes his perspective drastically. This character development is so good. And it's amazing to see how subtly it was kind of worked in this episode, to see how Peter begins to shift from someone who is absolutely 100% against Matthew to someone now who is beginning to understand him more and more. And we even see more of this in episode 7. If you like this video, make sure you leave it a like and subscribe if you want to see more. It always helps the algorithm to know what is a good video and what is a bad video, if you engage or if you don't. So we'd love for you to do that. Also, we'd love to extend an invitation for you guys to join our Patreon family or our membership family here on YouTube with the join button right below. This is an awesome way for you to get more involved in our community and to see behind the scenes of what's going on in our life and some other stuff. But I hope you like this video. And thanks for being part of our community. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.